Okay, Pelle, here we go. Feedback for task number two. Um, I want to talk to you about the structuring and the organization of your text, and about paragraphs, and about some issues to do with grammar. So those are sort of the main points that I want to talk to you about. Beginning at the global level with the structuring of the text. The first thing that I notice is that you don't have an introduction. We need to, or the reader needs to know what's going on in the text. So you need to introduce the text as a text. Think of it as a map where you tell the reader we're going from A to B, and these are the places we're going to stop in order to get to B. When you begin the text, you then signpost, where am I on this journey towards the conclusion? Because there is a discussion here, so therefore there should be a conclusion. That leads me on to my second point regarding structure. There's no conclusion. You do not seem to have discussed all three theories. You discuss Warden, or rather you explain how we can understand Warden. So what is your take on this in regards to counterinsurgency, and in particular the counterinsurgency that you describe in ISIL? We need to know what your take is, because otherwise, what are we doing here? What's the point of the text? It is for you to think and conclude, discuss and conclude. This leads me to another thing that I want to address, which is that part one about ISIL and counterinsurgency, and part two about Warden. How do those two cohere? See if you can create a better transition that makes it very obvious to your reader. Why begin with the insurgency in Syria and Iraq and then move on to Warden? Again, you need some kind of framing of the text that tells me what you need to know in order to understand how we can combat ISIL is this, so that I can follow along with your arguments. So that's in regards to structure. The next thing's to do with paragraphs. Generally speaking, it seems that you have like an instinctual idea of what a paragraph is. So they're okay. They work. Keeping in mind though that I think this seems to me to be a draft of task 2 rather than the final thing, because I'm just not sure you complete the second part of the task. But in terms of your writing, if I look at the form rather than the content, your paragraphs are actually okay. So that is working very well. In terms of the local level, going into sort of the actual words that you choose, the grammar, and then what we call the cohesion between the individual words and the sentences, there are a couple of things that you need to consider for your proofreading. Once you finish the text, you need to go back and look at these grammatical issues, because they are a recurring thing in your writing. The first one is by far the most serious one, and the one you need to pay attention to. That is, you skip between present tense and past tense. In the first paragraph, you actually have both. There needs to be a very good reason for why you switch from either one to the other. So you decide, in this case, past tense narration would be completely obvious. But in some cases, we need the present tense. That's just the way it is. But we need to know that you need to show that there is a logical reason for it. Otherwise, stay in one tense, because what your English teacher is thinking is that, does he have a firm grasp of when he's writing in the past or the present tense? So keep that in mind. If you need me to refer you to exercises that can improve this, let me know, because there are plenty of them out there. And it's a quite common mistake to make when you write, but it can be solved by proofreading, because I believe that you do know the difference between the tenses. It's just a question of being a little bit more aware of what you're doing when you write. And sometimes it helps to separate the conceptualization and the first draft from the grammatical proofreading, because it just means that the first becomes much more simple. The other thing that I'd like you to look at is subject-verb agreement. That kind of ties in with the tenses as well. Subject-verb agreement is only ever an issue in the present tense. Okay, so when you write in the present tense, i nutid, you have to be aware of subject-verb agreement, congruence. Final small thing, you tend to mistake were for where. Were, W-E-R-E, where, W-H-E-R-E. You alternate them, which is really annoying and something that can be fixed with proper proofreading. So that would be my message to you. Make sure that you frame your text so that the reader knows what's going on. Create the roadmap so there's coherence. And look at your tenses. Are you in the same tense? If you change tense, is there a good reason for it? And then proofread. Okay. That's it for me. Just keep in mind your paragraphs are working, okay? But outside of that, I will see you on Friday. You can write me emails or an email if there's anything you don't understand about this. Okay, I'll see you Friday. Bye.